Warfare is a tough story, is very hard, and from tough stories we learn lessons. What lesson have you taken from it?
What I learned, honestly, is that a lot of these soldiers go through very tough situations, both in training and on the ground. Before, I mean, I'm just a civilian, so I had no preconceptions of what they experience, and as much as it was a very much of a simulation that we experienced and not the real thing, I just learned that I'm very grateful that I'm not doing the real thing, to be honest.
Mm. Mm. Yeah, I think I learned about like the negative consequences of war more than
Yes.
anything else. The fact that this film doesn't sort of flinch or shy away from that, doesn't seek to romanticize or glorify anything, but kind of, I think, encourage audience members to just reckon with a real life event, which was characterized by loss from everyone involved and everyone impacted that day.
Mm.
And I think it's important because there's an argument to be made that not enough films are solely focused on that aspect of war, which is more often than not what war is defined by.
Yes.
Nefaro, what does it like to be directed by the person who actually lived that experience in real life?
Yeah, it was honestly a very beautiful experience to have. It was my first time being, playing the director and writer of a story, let alone a true to life counterpart. I never done that before, but it was a pleasure. A lot of pressure to say the least. But I was very grateful, and he was with me along the whole side of my journey.
Did he give you any advice?
Yeah, yeah, very much so. I mean, I tried to play the guy, so I took as much as advice as I could from him. Almost every, he's right behind the camera, so every other take I asked if I did a good job.
What differences were there in directing styles between Alex Garland and Ray Mendoza?
It's a good question. I mean, I
Mhm.
think like it was really amazing to watch two very kind of authoritative figures and experienced in their own right kind of practice the self-awareness and humility to co-lead. They never like stepped on each other's toes. I think that takes some really kind of some really admirable self-awareness, and they both practice like brilliant co-leadership. Generally speaking, I think Alex would handle technical things as they related to camera, and then Ray would handle all the things that related to representing SEALs accurately, and also anything that pertained to I think the kind of the emotions or the sort of physical and psychological reactions to things.
Well, your character reaches his limit to the point of being unable to lead. It's a very difficult situation for him.
Yeah, for the gentleman that I was representing, it was one of the worst days of his life. I think it was one of the worst days of all of these young men's lives. That being said, I was very impressed by what I thought was an exceptional act of leadership on his part to recognize when he was incapacitated and hand over to someone who was better placed to lead. I think that in itself was an act of leadership, and I'm very proud to represent that, and also just represent the realities of what it is to be a young person in a warfare environment, and understand that contrary to what we've potentially seen in other films and Hollywood films, like these are very, very young men, and they're human. Quite often they're mythologized, and to a degree that we forget that they are human beings. So I was proud to represent that aspect of it, and I believe that he was pleased to be able to contribute to a story that depicted war accurately.
There has been a debate about whether warfare is pro-war or anti-war. What do you think about this? Do you understand the debate?
Understanding the debate completely. I mean, what's beautiful about this film is that it shows the true consequences of war, something that a lot of Hollywood films hasn't done in the past. What's also beautiful is it doesn't really take a stance on it. It doesn't explain why they're there, or it doesn't have cutscenes of soldiers sending a letter home or something. This is very much just throws you in the mix, and you're with these characters trying to survive. But yes, no, this film very much takes a stance on showing the consequences, the true consequences of war. Yes.
It also outsources the moral judgment to the audience, as opposed to manipulating their emotions or their feelings, towards war or the people involved. For example, there's no score, so there's no music trying to kind of influence your, decision. There's also virtually no dialogue that isn't, technical or over the radio, or wasn't kind of backed up by what was effectively a transcript. And so, yeah, you're not being asked to sort of feel or think anything really other than respond to what is a recreation.
I know you have become friends, so the Pharaoh, if you have to describe Will in one word, what will it be? And you will?
A leader. I would say true leader, but that's two words. But a leader.
Okay.
To be honest, yeah. No, very, very much so. Both onset and offset, he really took up that leader position that his true to left counterpart was. Yes.
Love, brother. I would say wise. The Pharaoh is like one of the wisest people I've ever met. Regularly inform the boys on so many things that frankly we weren't like educated enough on. And he's a like fountain of knowledge, incredibly articulate on so many different subject matters. And he's someone who, like, when he speaks, it's always worth listening and leaning in.
Okay, guys, thank you so much. I enjoyed a lot the film. It's spectacular, so thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you.